So virtual closings is possible because people can stay at home, they can do minimal work and still empower us to represent them. However, not everything is going to be digital, okay? So we have to really understand the difference between what is an e-closing or virtual closing in the States and what could be a virtual closing here in Mexico.
Obviously, you know, the cool thing is, Guillermo, and once again, I feel so blessed that we're actually having the right conversations, which is how, what are we doing to, you know, how are we going to continue to make business happen? We've got deals, we've got things that are happening. We're not, you know, we're being safe, but we're also wanting to, you know, we're wanting to continue moving along and making sure we're making money to pay our bills and our families, you know, and our food and all that stuff. So as far as with your business, Guillermo, right now, what's the same and what's changed?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that we're in the business, we're in the business of creating opportunities to generate wealth for our clients, right? We are wealth generators. We can't forget that. Not even in the chance that we're in the crisis right now, as far as the whole demographics and the economics and everything is changing. There are a lot of people looking for good opportunities to not only preserve what they have, but also create new opportunities for them to grow, okay? There's a lot of opportunity making on this crisis. What do I mean by that? There's another statistics complementary to what you said in the US, is that there's a lot of limitations in new construction in the US right now. Interest rates have been going down. However, home builders are not going to be able to pick up with demand as well, because interest rates for mortgage rates are very low, you know, historically low. However, there are a lot of people, even now, of course, if they don't have a job, they're not going to be looking for a home. But if they do have a job, they're going to be looking for, one, either move up on whatever they can afford, and two, for the opportunity of building more equity, of course, and secondly, it will be the opportunity to refinance their home. Now, with the equity that they're going to be taking out of the refinancing, they're looking for investment opportunities, because they know that in times of crisis, there are going to be adjustments in the price, okay? So we have been seeing and hearing from a lot of people that are, you know, taking advantage of those refinancing opportunities or taking the equity out of their home and trying to look out for investment opportunities. Having said that, of course, there's a lot of people wanting to move out and all those sort of things, but I don't see a trend as far as leaving their original place, as far as, you know, leaving everything behind. They just want to see and wait. And for now, it's too soon to actually talk about a permanent trend. So our business, as far as how it has changed, it hasn't changed a lot, to be honest with you. As a matter of fact, we picked up a little bit in April, not in March, because we saw that people were really scared and putting back and holding back on closing on their transactions. However, April, we had a pickup because, again, there were certain circumstances in the economic changes, that environment, that it will be available for them to take advantage of buying property in Mexico. And not only for the northern part of Baja, I've seen that happening as far as well, for instance, in places like Chapala Lake. We have been, you know, for places in San Miguel de Allende. Like you said, there are a lot of opportunities there because there are big houses, affordability, and there's a lot of opportunities in other parts of Mexico. However, I think we're really well positioned here in Rosarito because of the distance, the closing distance between, you know, if we draw that 6-hour driving ratio within the US, we can go further up to Las Vegas, Phoenix, Tucson, of course, closely to the Bay Area, and we can actually target those sort of people. And there's a lot of the people coming in that are actually Mexican Americans that we're seeing a trend there. More than America's chance flying away, there are also a lot of Mexican Americans that they have built their business in the US. They, for some reasons, that they're not that comfortable being in the US and big cities anymore, and they're looking for properties in Mexico. So we have been approached by a lot of Mexican Americans in trying to figure out a way how to, you know, make the transactions happen. Having said that, I mean, and going back to your original question, is that our business has picked up a little bit more because we were already prepared for a change in the market. And I think you and I, we were talking about that even months before this happens, Kanoa. We were expecting a change in the market pretty soon, as far as, you know, we've been in a upscale economic cycle from what, 10 years now. And what happened to us back in 2008, for all of us that we were in real estate back then, we know that real estate and the economy suffers cycles, right? So we were expecting that already. So on our business, we were having, you know, pretty much cash reserves to, you know, take into account whatever happens, if anything will happen. And we were going to be ready to actually prepare clients to have, you know, video conference calls, to be ready to send out everything in digital form. Sometimes we don't even have clients coming into our office anymore. And we were really prepared for that before even the pandemic happened. But nevertheless, it has been an adjustment. All changes are uncomfortable, like you said before. And we really need to be open-minded and see how we can adjust to the different opportunities that this new economic environment will happen. I mean, it's all a matter of trying to get ahead of the game. And like they say in golf, just be sure that you're behind the ball all the time, so you can actually swing it fast and hard. Okay, so that's my point of view as far as it changes.
Guillermo, I think one of the things that we traditionally have seen is that when people start looking, there was a 2-year buying cycle. From the moment they started considering Mexico, it took them about 2 years to actually get down here and close. And so, if I guess my hope is that we got a lot more people looking right now, and even if they speeded up that buying cycle, that means for the next year to 2 years, we could have potential sales coming in from all these new eyeballs that are looking down here. I don't think that there's going to be a rush to get people, I mean, in the next 2 months, but the relationships that we're building right now with all these new eyeballs, I think will be paying off for quite a while, for our city. And the other thing that I'm really excited about is that a lot of the people that were canceling, I mean, me and Kenny went through this before. During 2008, 95% of our pipeline disappeared and never came back. And it got worse, and it stayed worse for 5 years. Where we're seeing almost the opposite happening right now. The trends are on traffic are going up. People that had either canceled, some of them are coming back. Some of them that have postponed are still wanting it. So for me, it's pointing in a good direction, at least for the potential of sales. It's not perfect. We still lost a good portion of our pipeline, but not as much as I thought it could have went away.
Absolutely. And another statistics that draw my attention is Illinois, Chicago, right? Why Chicago? I mean, think about it. And I'd like to see also your stats for New York. That's where the whole thing is happening right there. The most deaths, the most infections people, but there's also a huge community of Mexican Americans in New York, as well as Chicago and the other big cities and states. And now, and most of the times, I don't see any surprises in Texas, for instance, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston. Those already have a good demand for Mexican properties historically, right? California, of course, Arizona, but Chicago and New York are really interesting because for the East Coast, most of the people that look for property in the East Coast look for East Coast in Mexico as well. But for Midwest, like Chicago, is really interesting because there's a huge Mexican-American community there that just want out, like you said before. And that's it doesn't really surprise me, but it's kind of an interesting data point. As far as the difference between the 2008 crisis and now is that, remember that in 2008, 2009, it was really a liquidity crisis. It was a real estate crisis, basically. And that's a lot different from now on. I mean, because we have been in a boom economy for the last 10 years. People, portfolios are not that really affected because we have seen that the stock market went down, but it's just recovered in a couple of months. And even though we are seeing the scary unemployment rates, we cannot foresee how much of that is going to be kind of a U-shaped recovery or a V-shaped recovery that a lot of the banks are talking about now. And that, for instance, is going to be also that is going to affect the current demand on properties. What I see, some of the most weak points that we have as far as seen as an opportunity for foreign investment as a country as a whole is the current government doesn't really is a very friendly economic government. It's not really friendly with foreign investors. It's not really friendly on making public policy as friendly as to attract the more investment from foreigners. So I see that happening a little bit, adjusting on how we'll see that if Mexico takes advantage of the trade wars that you were talking about. It's really difficult for me to understand how this current government and even in the local area, like we know that we already have a very socialist local mayor in Rosarito that is currently, making a lot of decisions that would affect the attractiveness for not only tourists but also foreigners coming in to living into the area. So that's kind of my biggest worry. Not that the people won't have the financial resources to come in and make those things happen. But if there is no inventory, it's because there's lack of incentives from the government to actually promote construction, promote building up that inventory, promote the economic environment suitable for investments to have a good return on investment. I mean, it's all about economics, and it's and as we as a group of real estate professionals, we will need to somehow get together with other entrepreneurs and all the other organizations that actually push for those changes within the government to make everything easier for our clients to come in and not only have a good time on a short period of time, but also come in and be safe on health issues and also be secure, because it's insecurity reasons. Remember that also from 2008, 2009, apart from the financial crisis, then came back the insecurity crisis in Rosarito and all the Baja, which all the kidnapping and all those issues that we had a bad reputation for. We don't want that to come back, and actually that's just a local problem that we have to address with the local government. So I see a lot of opportunities, but there's also threats that we need to be aware as real estate professionals.
Guillermo, I always have to say, I really appreciate your opinion, because you're so right on what's happening, and so I can't wait to hopefully have you back to where me and you can actually have a conversation about a lot of these things and get into maybe a little bit a longer conversation than we have time for this morning, but in very soon, so that we can actually address some of these things, because I think you've got a perspective that people need to hear. I want to ask you before we run out of time too, though, but I want to ask you. Currently, there's a lot of words getting thrown out regarding real estate and virtual closings. What's your belief about virtual closings, and what does that really mean, and how can that actually happen, or is it happening, or what is going on right now to help keep people safe during the closing, and what can we do?
Okay, excellent question. I mean, we have to first define what a virtual closing really means. I mean, that if you think that a virtual closing means just someone clicking on a button and getting everything right for them, right sitting on their sofa, that's not going to happen. I mean, virtual closings, what we do for our clients is that we actually take legal representation to actually empower someone that they trust to come and close for them. Okay, there are no virtual closings, meaning as digital closings in Mexico whatsoever. You still need to have someone sitting in front of the public notary and signing the paperwork for them. That will be a virtual closing, meaning quote unquote. Why? Because they will not be bothered to coming into Mexico, and probably we can actually do all the compliance paperwork, signing the deed, being for them representative on the legal interests as far as be able to sign for them in the signing meeting with the notary. That could actually, we've been doing that for years, basically. I mean, it's nothing new, to be honest with you. We seek to have a power of attorney drafted either in the US or in Mexico, because sometimes if they're here for vacation, they don't want to stay, we just ask them to sign a power of attorney and grant us, or whoever they trust, to continue with the selling process. And meaning that we have been doing deals that they take early possession with a power of attorney, and that's completely fine as far as everyone is really in compliance, first of all, that all the paperwork has been done correctly, that all the title search has been completely done in the due diligence phase, and that everything is clear, and the expectations set up for the clients are set in advance. Because sometimes people will think that you can sign documents digitally, or you can actually have a power of attorney drafted by my attorney in the US and just send it to me. That's not going to happen. We need to have a very set protocol on how power of attorneys are done and completed. Not all public notaries will take and this is very important for you guys to understand, not all public notaries interpret the law the same. So most of them think that California has restricted the way that we do power of attorneys, because notary publics in California specifically don't have the right to verify and rectify the legality of the document that they're actually signing, okay? They only verify that whoever is signing the document is the person who's showing you the ID. They're not legally binding as far as to rectify the legality of the document. And I can send you a couple of links on that issue. And also, we need to make sure that if they're doing a power of attorney through a corporation, that the corporation is everything in good standing, that everything is up to order, and then we don't have any issues. Having said that, although it sounds like is really, there's a lot of obstacles, it's pretty easy to do if we have all the ducks in line and we cross the T's and dotted the lines in the correct order. So virtual closings is possible because people can stay at home, they can do minimal work and still empower us to represent them. However, not everything is going to be digital, okay? So we have to really understand the difference between what is an e-closing or virtual closing in the States and what could be a virtual closing here in Mexico.
I think you make a great point, because words are important. So if we start using the word virtual closing, people in the US are going to have a different understanding of what that means. So we've got to be clear. If we're going to be using that word virtual closing, we're able to define what that means in Mexico. So, or say what to expect, because it's all about expectations. And I think sometimes we forget about that. When we use words over here, when we're saying things, they might mean something else to people that are in the US. Absolutely. Or their expectations. And so and that probably goes with all parts of what we do with real estate. So we've got to be able to back up what we're doing and what we're saying, with explaining what we mean, so that way people aren't surprised with any part of the process that they're going to go through.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And basically what we do for our clients is we set up the expectations very early with a video conference call, so you can get acquainted and we can meet on, virtually, and actually and let them know exactly the steps and procedures that we're going to be taking to complete the transaction the most efficient way possible. Now, in that initial call, we set up the expectations, being really honest with them. Honest as far as the timing that it's going to be taking, because nowadays, as you already know, all official offices or municipality offices are working, part-time, and a lot of the notaries are taking a little bit more time, and the fiduciary banks are taking longer. It doesn't mean that we're not working. We're still working, but it could mean that a lot of bottlenecks are going to be encountered throughout the transaction. So expectations need to be set right up front, honestly, and also about the costs, because sometimes they just believe that it's pretty straightforward as in the US, and many of the times we encounter that there might be a couple of things that are coming along the way, and we need to set the expectations for them as well. Also, something else that we're looking at is that capital gain taxes have become a real issue around the area. Why? Because of the devaluation of the foreign exchange, okay? the peso. The peso has been devaluated throughout the crisis, roughly 30 to 40%, and it went from 18.5 to, as you know, right now it stands at 22.5, but it went up to 25. So remember, the capital gains are based on what they have registered when they bought the property up to the point that they sell the property. So many times I have clients that say, well, I bought my property for $200,000 and I'm selling at a loss. I'm selling at 180. Well, let's take a look at when you bought it. What was the exchange rate back then? And then figure out the profits of what the exchange rate is right now. And most of the times there are gains to be handled and managed, because the tax liability can actually, tear down a transaction. So that's also another expectation that we need to set for our clients in advance.
So Guillermo, I mean, you're not a typical closing company. I mean, you do that as a service, but your specialty is in what?
My specialty basically is helping clients. Of course, a closing company will do exactly the same. Escrow, title services, we'll do the coordination of the closing, but our specialty really is helping with the client's taxes, okay? I mean, there is a lot of things that, and I've seen that people will do stuff like lower the purchase price at the notary, and then when it comes the commercial appraisal, they are surprised that they couldn't lower more than whatever, So that's a practice that don't really goes anymore. Our specialty is to figure out what's the best compliant way to reduce the taxes. Okay, that's a real specialty. However, we do exactly the same. I mean, we do tax planning for our clients. We do the title search. We do all the appraisals needed. We do all the closing coordination management. And we also have a lot of expertise on, of course, forming corporations for developers and for business owners. And we do a lot of handling trusts as well. Not only for the foreign transaction, but also for developers to do a management trust to manage and complete their constructions. And we do that all over the place. I have clients in Cabo, I have clients in Cancun, I have clients in Vallarta, in San Miguel de Allende. So we have done that for quite a substantial amount of developers, and that's also our specialty. So there's quite a significant services that we can provide for our clients.
So Guillermo, I want to just kind of leave it this because we're running out of time, but we're definitely going to have you back very soon so we can have a longer in-depth conversation, because you've got so much information I think is so valuable to not only our agents but also to the general public, especially the English-speaking population here. But I want to say that you're telling us that you've got safety protocols that are set up right now that are going to be that can help protect people, so that way we can do as much of what we need to do through this process at a distance until they actually need to come in, so we can limit the amount of time that people actually have to be in person to do things, correct?
Absolutely. And one of the protocols that we do, and we've been doing this for a while, is before they come into closing, we actually prep them on a video conference call and show them exactly the documents that they're going to be signing if they're going to be coming in, or that we're going to be signing for them if they're not coming in. Everything, meaning that I take a couple of hours or an hour and a half video conference call and share my screen with them and go through all the deed. And that escrituras and trusts and deeds are long, and many times are not translated, so people are really confused. And we answer everything every questions that arises. We actually prep them in advance, so when they are ready to come in, they already are familiar with the paperwork. They already know everything, and they don't have, fewer questions. There might be a couple of questions arising for the public notary, but they will already know the answers from us, basically, because we share a lot of that knowledge through our, personal conference calls and personal interaction. So, I mean, virtual interaction, not personally, but it's just kind of being on a one-on-one call to see if they have anything that they're concerned about. So that's what we're doing. And actually, we have done a couple of closings with your agents that we have done pretty fast and pretty quick as far as getting things ready and throughout the flow of work for them to not be, kept hours in the notary public office.
One of the things that still surprises me, and I guess I don't know why I'm surprised or anything, but I still get the agents that come to me and they're going, God, we're having this tax issue. We're having a problem with the, capital gains or something like that. And I go, well, did you call Guillermo? Oh, no. I'm like, well, that's what this guy specializes in. So, if anybody's out there with clients that are dealing with, issues where it comes to needing to develop a strategy on how to deal with the situation, there's nobody really that I know that's more knowledgeable than him to bring it to at least have him look at it, to be able to go, hey, what can we do and what are the options? And to see if it's something that he can assist you in, whether it's for that particular client or maybe even the other agent that is involved in the transaction that they're struggling, so you don't lose the whole transaction. I want to tell you also, go ahead.
Thank you for your compliments. I appreciate that. And having said that, it's a matter of facilitating the transaction, right? Not obstructing it, facilitating, making ourselves your partner, because we don't charge a dime until you guys close. Until you are, finished and closed, and you have disbursed your commissions. That's when we get paid. We don't get paid for any preliminary work on the tax planning strategies that we do for our clients. We only get an advance retainer for the closing coordination, to work on the contracts, to do all the, spend, the money here and there for the paperwork that we have to manage. But it's all about becoming your agent's partner all the way through the transaction.
So Guillermo, we're running out of time right now, but I want to say thank you. The funny thing is my wife wanted to make sure you were in on this call, in this meeting today. So she was going, we got to get Guillermo, we haven't seen his face in a long time, but I was already planning on contacting you about a different thing, but she made sure that you were here this morning. I want to thank her for making sure to get you in on this call, to once again, to get your face in front of our agents, because we are closing transactions. We are making deals. I am excited, and I'm hoping that we can bring you some of that business, and I really appreciate your time. So you're more than welcome to stay to the end of the meeting, and just, but we got to get through some more administrative stuff at the moment. Oh,
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Senia, thank you so much for the invite, and I'm really grateful to partner with you with your agents, and I look forward to do more business with you guys.
Did you want to say something?
Yes. Guillermo, what escrow company do you use?
We use Armor Secure, but actually one of the things that we're changing in probably by the end of the year, next year, is we're actually opening up our own trust accounts in escrow accounts in the US to manage ourselves within our company. Okay. And that will give us a little bit more control, and the pricing structure will be a little bit lower, maybe. And we can actually do a better service. However, having said that, Armor Secure is, my belief, is one of the most experienced companies in Mexico to handle escrow. They handle the escrow in the US, as you know, in Citibank. And Citibank is a really friendly bank to open this type of trust accounts. So basically, that's what we have partnered with, and we haven't had any issues whatsoever.
Guillermo, I have used Armor Secure, which I think that they are such an easy one to use. I love that I can open escrow immediately. I love a bunch of things about Armor Secure, but I'll tell you that there are some things that are not going to work for some of my clients with Armor Secure. So do you have an objection if you need to use the other?
No, we have done business with Secure Title. Secure Title, it's a company, as you guys know, they manage their own escrow. They have done that for quite a substantial amount of time, and I've known them from the past. So I don't have an issue. And we have also worked with other escrow companies in the US as well, but it has to be, if we use a US-based escrow company, compliance gets a little bit more tougher. For instance, we have done things with Foundation Escrow in San Diego. I don't know if you want to look it up, but Foundation Escrow.
For Mexico properties?
Yes, actually for Mexico corporates, yes. But involving US entities, so it's a little bit different.
So it's a shame, it's a real shame that we don't have more time, because I just put that out as an example. It would have been great if everybody here would have been able to also get all their questions out, but I was just using as an example that, guys, this guy has a wealth of knowledge. It's a shame that we don't have the time.
But we're bringing him back really soon. So we're going to make an appointment and we're going to spend time. So if you guys have questions specifically, I think I would like to work with all of you so that way we can do this again, really soon.
So like I was saying, it's a real shame that we don't have the time so that everybody here is an agent, the people that are selling out there can really benefit from since you're there. However, I do want to stress out to everybody, I want you to pick up on for those that I know some of you are using them like religiously right now. But for those that don't know him that well, just take a note on at the beginning of the interview, and I only take a minute, at the beginning of the interview, how he was asked questions about his knowledge of what he thinks is going on with real estate in the market. And he had, without hesitation, he said, this is what I see. I mean, to have your clients deal with somebody that has that depth of knowledge and communicates it so well, it's a great asset to your sale. And the other thing is, then he got into the actual, what he does do, because at the beginning it wasn't about what services he offers. It was about, what his perspective is and what his thoughts are, and the way he communicated all of that information was so well done that think about that, when you put that in front of your clients, it's just such a comfort zone for them that can bring to your transaction. So just keep that in mind. Now, that aside, we don't have the time now, but that aside, right now we've all have had issues with the capital gain because this is a new thing. With the minute the peso changed, we all should have gone into watch out mode, because what you think you knew, you no longer know. And what we thought we knew, because we kind of know, we're not the experts, but we pretty much know, what's gonna, and there's places, many times that we've been in transactions and we go, oh, you'll get exempt, whatever. It doesn't apply to anymore. And we all know that, but get even past that, get way past that. Think about a client that is because that happened to me. That's what I'm saying. That is doing more than even one transaction, and that we know that he already used his tax exemption. That should not stop you from taking it to Guillermo. You would be mind blown when you hear this man talk about the options or all these things that that's why we're not experts. So I would not pass it through him, because I've been incredibly impressed. I'm sorry, and I'm taking too much time. But I just wanted Guillermo to be here because I want everybody to know him a little better, because he is really, really impressive. And the last thing is also note how confident he communicates and how trustworthy he is. I was going to say sounds, but is.
Thank you so much, Senia, for your comments.
So, guys, I really would just, don't pass it through him. I've been just really impressed with what he's been able to accomplish. And I also, lastly, want to say that even though I was impressed as I was and everything perfect, when it came down to closing the transaction, we didn't use Guillermo because transaction changed. Like transactions, you never know. You never know. So I'm just grateful to you, because despite of all of that, he's still, he's still right there. And I just want to put out there that every action counts, and even the gracious way he has been about all of this, it's also something that you can't just not acknowledge. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Senor.
Guillermo, really quick, James has got a question. Are you willing to do capital gains analysis like Luis Durazo Jr. does?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's part of our proposal when we actually turn into our clients. When there is something that you have in mind on transaction, and even before you actually get an offer, we can do that proposal right away. We send you what a proposal entails, and then along with it, we'll send the original calculation, and then we'll do our tax strategy based on that calculation, and we'll give you the worksheets just like a public notary will give you.
Wow, almost like a real professional, huh?
So we actually
Imagine listing agents actually doing that, you know, for other clients. That would be...
For confirming that, we actually use the same software as Notary number one, and also we use an additional software for the worksheets and calculations that we have purchased, you know, and been using it throughout the years.
Okay. All right, Guillermo, thank you so much. We're gonna get into more stuff as soon as I got a whole list of stuff. And next time when we meet, we're gonna go through. Thank you so much, guys. We're gonna move on.
I'll stick around just to if any other questions will arise. And after the call, if anyone wants to stay in and I'll take any questions.
Excellent. Very cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Guillermo, very much.
Thank you for watching our video. If you're planning on buying real estate in the Rosarito Beach area, make sure to give us a call. Have a great day, everybody.